So, Tom, you're originally from the Southwest region in the United States, Arizona specifically, but have been working in Western Canada for the last 8 years. Could you describe the basic differences with the two specific cities?
So Tucson, where I originally worked in Arizona, is a border town close to Mexico, about 100 miles or 160 kilometers away. And it's a Latino-American city. I'd say maybe a third of the population speaks Spanish, even though they don't teach Spanish much in school. Still a large number of the population is Latino. And in general, it's slightly on the poorer side. People don't earn as much money in that community. There's not a lot of big technology, not a lot of companies that pay a higher end. It's a working class city and a little bit industrial. But the general attitude of the people is really down to earth and friendly. And with the diversity of the population, it's got a real warmth to it. And people are genuine and friendly. Calgary, Alberta, and Canada, on the other hand, is a little wealthier because there's a lot of oil and gas type jobs that hire geologists or engineers. There's a lot of very well-educated technical people living in the city that earn a high wage, one of the highest in North America. And with that, though, with that affluence comes, well, you could just say like folks that have more money are less down to earth, and they seem more worried about their own well-being than the public and the community. So I think that was a big shock coming from living in a place that was really down to earth and friendly for 3 decades of my life or more, and then going into Canada to this particular city that had a bit of affluence. That was a little bit of a culture shock.
Yeah. And so I'm also curious then, just by the basic fact of the economic differences from these two cities, how do you see impact the work that you do? Because in both cities, you were working in the government and you're having to interact a lot with the public. So do you also see there's an attitude differences because of the economic differences or other factors?
Well, in my particular line of work, where I'm specializing in really improving the roadway for people walking or biking, it was a bit of an alien topic when I got to Calgary. The public was not used to it, and so there was a lot of resistance when talking to them about the projects, and a lot of very hard questions back at me, asking for proof why this is even necessary. So I really had to come prepared with a lot of facts and have come up with a game plan on how to communicate with them, a lot more so than I would in Arizona, where people are generally just happy that you're coming in to improve things because they haven't seen a lot of improvement maybe throughout their life.
Thank you for that. And so to wrap up, I just wanted to go back because you were sharing some very interesting things about the kind of employee you saw as having the positive attributes, and that is to be very adaptable. And it sounds like from your role as a manager and the fact that you switched to very different cities, you yourself had to be very adaptable in how you communicate so that you can deliver your work. Just kind of curious about what other suggestions you might want to leave with our students so that they're aware, you know, when they are going into the workforce, and if they are considering down the road coming to either Canada or the United States, then what would be some other recommendations you have for them to be a valuable employee?
So I think I've said a few times about being able to communicate verbally with different types of people, but being able to write is just as important, and having people that can quickly go into report writing mode and be able to spell out really technical jargon that's done so in a neutral kind of way that anyone can read and understand is key. And so there's an old saying that you should write at a 3rd grade level, because that's often the level of education on some people, especially in America. So if you can write so that a 3rd grader can understand it, you can likely reach everybody in between that.
So just to clarify, because in Taiwan, we're not used to thinking of it this way, but I guess what you're saying is, even if somebody who has, say, master's or PhD degree, and they have a lot of knowledge, and maybe their English, even if it's their second language, they're still pretty good. But if they're not able to translate that information into easily digestible information for general public, then that means they're not communicating well. And so for somebody like you in the management position, you value that they are able to not only speak but also communicate clearly and simply to the public.
Yeah, and I think when you're writing, just know who your audience is. So if you, like in my field, I'm a planner, so I talk a lot with people from the community. Being able to talk at one level with them and then be able to talk at a technical level with my coworkers is always important. Being able to flip between the two different ones.
So like you said, depending on who is your audience, today if you're talking with the public, use straightforward language to communicate the idea. And then once you go back to the office and talk to your coworkers, then you can interact with them at the level that everybody speaks as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Great. All right. Well, thank you very much. It was very eye-opening to just see how to navigate, even though the United States and Canada and this is all Western part has a lot of similarity, there's a lot of nuances, as you mentioned, to navigate. So thank you for your time. That interview with Tom is the very last interview and as well as the video series for this round of topic. I really appreciated reading all of your comments to all of the videos that was previously presented, and I really hope that you have enjoyed and learned as much as I have interviewing these wonderful people. I hope you continue on with different ways of accessing resources for learning English and practicing. Good luck. Bye.